Hello, I'm Cloudy Shoe, and we're going to be floating through Zelda 2. Zelda 2, of course, is the first game in the adventuresome quest genre. You'll notice my jump is a little different here. We're playing with a few Game Genie codes. The first one makes it so that when you hold down the jump button, you keep rising. Second code makes it so you can jump midair. And then we've got a third one in there just to, so that spells don't use magic. Because we're going to be using the fairy spell a lot, and it's not cheap. And here comes our first one. We'll do our first fairy warp here. So, this is how you normally get the spell, the shield spell, on the ceiling here, right? And then if you walk out here, you end up in Glitch Town. And you're at King's Tomb. And then we can go and get Downstab. So every adventuresome quest needs a Downstab. Normally you would need jump to get this. Of course, we don't need the jump spell. Fortunately, you can't talk to this NPC if you're on the ceiling. So, yeah. So I'm going to be doing a lot of fairy warps. And the way fairy warps work is that each screen has 4 pages. And each page has an exit assigned to that page. And so when you fairy warp, it'll take you to that exit, but it'll preserve your position otherwise. Oh hey, look at these 2 NPCs right next on top of each other. Okay, so this will take us to Bagu. We might as well say hi. Hey Bagu. Okay. And now we're gonna go to Palace 2 and pick up the glove. Which is, well, technically I believe it's called the Handy Glove and is a pretty handy item. And is one of the only items that you need in any present. Well, we almost got lucky there, but... Okay. So, one way that you can get into a palace is by going on the ceiling of that palace, jumping up, and then going down the elevator. And we're going to use a few fairy warps here to get through the palace fairly quickly. Oh. That one. Accidentally landed, not on the ceiling, but that's fine. We will make do. We'll just float above these iron knuckles. And here, we'll get the, this is the only way I know of to downstab this statue. Okay. Keep the elevator a little low. There we go. We'll walk past that door. Who needs keys? this is the room with the glove here. Actually, we do have a key, so we don't even need a fairy. So, when you, for Iron Knuckles, you need to jump and stab them on the way down. It's the easiest way, and that's slightly harder when you float. So, another handy item, since we're about to go to Death Mountain, is the candle, so you can see in caves. But that's all the way in Palace 1. But fortunately, Palace 1 is right here. So, let's see. That page has the down exit, where the elevator would normally take you. And so, sometimes these fairy warps will mess with the camera a little bit, but if you enter a screen normally, it'll fix it. Okay. I think we're good to do this. Okay. And then if you ferry right by this ferry, you'll end up right here in the item room. We'll have to exit so we can get to the bottom, but exits in Zelda 2 do not have to, like, they don't have to be symmetrical or make any sense. And this is the only case I know of in the vanilla game where that exit with that fairy, which is on a completely different side of the palace, for some reason connects to this room here. My only guess would be for, like, playtesting or something. But there's no way you can get there in the normal game. And if you don't fairy warp there and you just walk off the edge there, you actually end up in the ceiling. So we're gonna float over some lava here. So now we've got, I started with Upstab, Life and Fairy. Now we picked up the glove and handle. So now we're gonna head over to the hammer. And of course, if you want to leave a palace, the quickest way is to go onto the ceiling and just walk out. Actually, I just want to obey. And we'll go back. There's an even faster way to get to Glitch Town and Wrong Warp in the first town here. So if you go to this page here, that'll take you to Glitch Town. Conveniently, you're even closer to the exit. And we're at King's 2. We're gonna head over here. We're just gonna take out that red Dyra because it's easy. And it's not easy in most categories where you end up going this way. Yeah, it's pretty fun, and it's only a couple Game Genie codes away. So lava pits are no trouble. And here, we're just about at the Hammer Cave. Fun fact, if you leave this, that room without scrolling the screen, you'll despawn the red Dyra that's normally here. That is used in some categories, actually, I believe, that do Death Mountain first, where you don't need that XP. And here, we can float up here, but because this isn't like a palace, the warps work differently. If you fairy warp here, it won't take you to the next room. It'll just leave you in there. Basically warp you right back to where you were. Because caves work differently. And here we are, almost to the hammer. Just like you've always gotten it. Alright. We'll take a quick detour here over to the Palace 1 area and get a heart container. So, you rarely go this way through this cave in the light because you normally have to go this way to get the candle. So normally people try to skip this screen, but... Okay, so you might know there's a glitch in Zelda 2 called Fairy Feet, where you can cast Fairy, go like 1 pixel off the screen, and tap the other direction, and you'll leave on the opposite side of the screen. Well, you can also do it this way. And on that screen, you can do it that way in vanilla. I believe you might need jump. But because it starts you off quite high, you can actually jump into the HUD. Yeah, the combat can be pretty tough, but there's actually a lot of strategies that help quite a bit. A lot of enemies, especially in the earlier palaces, have specific attacks that they're easier to hit with. So in that last cave, you'd normally need Fairy to get past it, but of course, when you can float, it doesn't matter. So here we're going into Palace 3 to get the Raft so that we can get over to the Eastern Continent. And we'll take the top again and I'll show you some fun. So if you jump up here, you end up in the elevator. But if you walk out of the elevator here, you're still invisible, except for your sword. But you're on the floor. There we go. There might be some of that yet planned. Well, we have to get to the Eastern Continent, and without Scroll Lock, I don't believe there's any other way to get there. So, good thing we don't need that elevator. So, if you go here, and this is a warp that's... What? Oh. Well, we'll get there again. So, the warp I just attempted, and somehow failed. I think I was slightly off on the wrong page. That one is one that's actually used in at least one category. New Game Plus No Hammer is a warp that I found reading through an old TAS Videos forum post. And it skips. There's a room with unicorn heads and lava pits that it skips, and it saves, I think, like 20 seconds? There we go. Okay. So then you do another one here. And you end up at the end of this room that has bots. Oh, this one, yeah, it's bots. Bots and lava pits, which are not a good combination. We don't even need to kill you. Okay. So now we've got a raft. We can head out to the eastern continent. So we'll take the shortcut through Glitch Town again. And here we are. So, like every good adventurer needs for your adventuresome quest, we're gonna go get some boots, which of course let you walk on water. Oof. So, we're gonna head over here to the maze. Okay. Oh, well, let's take a little detour. We don't need this item, but we can see the David Bowie cameo in this game is there's the Zolfos here who kidnapped a child and hid it in a labyrinth. And now on to our regularly scheduled route. Sorry, kid, you're gonna have to stay there. That could be, though. The place where Palace 5 is looks pretty deep. So we got a couple screens here. And we'll skip these the same way. And normally going around the long way is quicker. But if you can skip everything this quickly, seems a shame not to. So now we're in Palace 4. We're gonna pick up some boots. Yeah, let's do this. Yeah, and it's important when you're fairy warping to a screen with an elevator that you hold up, because it'll wrap your position down to the bottom of the screen. Otherwise, you'll get stuck in a wall. And elevators will spawn at like Link's Y position when Link enters a screen. So there's a small window there where you can get a ceiling walk normally, but we can get it for free. And there's our boots. But we've got a friend to visit, so we're gonna have to take a little detour here, and we're gonna go to the basement. Alright, should be about here. There we go. And now we're back in Palace 3. But it's purple this time. And, anyone who's familiar with Glitch 100% will likely know where we're about to go. Here we go. Alright. And why mess with doors when you've got fairies? Alright. It's that time. Get your Rebo Sharks out in chat. We're just gonna visit here for a little bit. Let our friend Rebo Shark hang out. Alright. Right on, Rebo Shark. We'll leave you alone for today. Rebo Shark rides one more day. Alright. So another item that you need, well, first we'll go here and we'll just grab a heart just for fun. And in glitch runs, the screen can warp you past the River Devil. However, in this run it cannot. So we're gonna... Here we are at Palace 5. And this next room here is a room that you're designed to need fairy for. There's a trick called Eco Key where you can do a damage boost off a skull bubble and get up here and get the key. Or you can just float up there. And float on through. And then walk right through there. And, so Magos are these, enemies here that are usually pretty annoying, but when you don't have to touch the ground, it's a lot better. This key here can be frustrating to get, because you have to wait for blocks to stack up and whatever, or you can just go up there and get it. Oh! Fun. Okay. Well, sometimes, even when you don't cast fairy, you'll do a fairy warp unexpectedly and get stuck in the floor. That's okay. Yeah, I'm not sure why that happens, just randomly on screens. You'll sometimes, if you're just floating near the top, you'll just fall. And like, I've never been able to like, reproduce it like, trying to actually do it. It just happens. That's alright, it's just a short walk back. And we're back on the ceiling again. It could be, but I've had it happen in, like, overworld encounters too. Or in towns, even. Oof. Alright. Float over some lava. Alright. Okay. And then float past these iron knuckles. Under the dripper. And we're just about back where we were. And we're on our way to get the flutes. Or, as some have called it, a plunger. If you're old enough to remember the what was it, the 2010 or 6, I think 2010 World Cup, the one in South Africa that had the vuvuzelas. That is what it most closely resembles. go stay down there. Alright. Here you're expected to cast jump and like fight this Iron Knuckle, or just do that. And here we've got in the FDS version of this game, instead of a blue Iron Knuckle, that is a horse head refight. And it works like a normal boss fight where this scrolling is locked and you have to get a key after defeating the boss to unlock it. But in the US and European releases, they took that out. Just put that blue Iron Knuckle there that you can just walk past. Oh, I had a key. And there we go. That's a flute. And, just like, Palace 1, if you want to leave a palace, oof, first you have things stop hitting you, and then you just walk out. But we've got a little more business here that we're gonna take care of right now. So we're gonna hop back into the palace here. Take the ceiling route here. Okay. And we're gonna head back to that falling block room. If you remember when we were in Palace 2, there's a very similar room, which is actually kind of the same room. Zelda 2 reuses rooms in palaces. And there's, it'll, depending on what your palace is in, it'll change some things, but, just like Palace 2, we're gonna use this to go into Palace 1. That should do it. So we already got our candle from here. But we didn't visit Horsehead. And as we know from earlier, Horsehead in the FDS version was in Palace 5. So we're just gonna make sure that we restore the horse to Palace 5. Very. So here is just your normal, average horse head. Just like you remember. It's, yeah, you know, just like Horsehead always looks. Yep. I guess we'll place a gem. Why not? And, we won't use it here because it's not really needed, but there was recently found in Zelda 2 a, glitch that when you're placing a gem, if you up an A before the animation completes, and the gem is fully placed, then you can, as long as you haven't turned the palace to stone like that, so you haven't got the item out of the palace, you can go back to that palace and place the gem again. So, as you can imagine, that cut quite a bit of time off a few categories. To where in certain categories that you used to have to go to Palace 6, you don't even have to go to Palace 6 anymore. And, let's see. Yeah, we'll do the same. We've got, so, there's invisible enemies here, because we haven't picked up the item in Palace 6, which is the cross, which lets you see invisible enemies. Oh. And I don't really need to do this. Skip. Okay, there we go. Sometimes you just fall. Come on. What? There we go. Sometimes you can cast Fairy Rite. So, if you ever seen a Zelda 2 speedrun, you've probably only seen this part of the screen, and then somebody would stab and try to skip it. But I don't get what's so hard about the screen. You can just float around the top, and nothing bothers you. But you do have to watch out, because when you go up into the HUD, your position wraps around, and you can die in that lava. A lot of people probably aren't familiar with this, but there is in Valley Death here. There's a 500 point P-bag if you go off to the side. But once again, we can just float through here. Alright. And we are almost to Great Palace. And we're falling again. And this scorpion here is named Max, after a Zelda 2 runner named Scorpion Max. Alright. We've got one more forced encounter here, but looks like we skipped it. And then this last cave. And then we'll get to Great Palace, which has the Great Barrier, which doesn't let you through. So it just hurts you. So you need to have placed all 6 crystals for that to unlock. But as you see, I've only placed 1. I've got 5 left. You can also get past it if you're in what's called Scroll Lock, where you go to Glitch Town, you enter some doors, and then things don't quite line up properly. We don't have either of those. This is actually where I got the idea for this run, is Meg was playing a crowd control rando, I believe, and found that you can just go up here and take the elevator down. So this screen here has right here a false floor where you'd fall through. Normally you'd have to walk back to your right and break some blocks or just float up. And if you're familiar with Zelda 2 speedrunning at all, you'd expect me to go this way. But we're not going to go that way. We're going to do what's called alt route. Because the hard part of alt route is free in this when you can float. And this lines up very nicely where you just stab things. Alright. So now we're going to get on the ceiling and we're going to warp around a little bit. Yeah, there's a lot of rooms in GP, if you've only seen speedruns, that you have not seen before, because there are a lot of rooms in GP. It is very large and full of dead ends. So we're gonna fall down here. And a lot of these, there's rooms like them throughout GP. Okay. Then I believe this one I need to hold up. Yes, because there's an elevator, and you don't want to get stuck in the elevator. And these are, in Zelda 1, you have the breakfast room and the magical breakfast room with the pancakes. In Zelda 2, we have Waffle Rooms, which instead of storing syrup, store enemies. Okay. And this is a fun room where you have to cast fairy to get through. Though when you come into it, you usually see this part, so you might cast jump, and then you get over here, and then you find out you have to cast fairy as well. And fun fact, those two blocks at the top there, the bottom one is a breakable block that has a 50-50 chance of a red jar or a red bird knight, which I did not know until I was playing this the other day, testing things. So this is what the room that is for the alt route skip. The down below those blocks, you need to drop down. So you can walk right and exit the room, and then when you enter it back from the other direction, it puts you on the bottom. To do that, they're spawning weird because, there we go. You have to damage boost off of one of these unicorn heads up onto the ceiling. Or, if you're like right here-ish, I think, you can fairy warp, and it'll take you down that exit. And as you can see, fairy warping normally links in the center of the camera. Sometimes fairy warping will mess up the camera. But when you go to a new screen, it'll fix it. So this is the most commonly used fairy warp in Zelda 2 speedruns, because it allows you to skip Thunderbird. You would go over like here, but we're just gonna fall down here. It'll be fine. We don't have thunder, so we can't actually fight Thunderbird, but we can just float on the same ceiling that we need to do the fairy warp from, so. And that's how you fight Thunderbird. Okay. So, you can very slowly move over here towards the Triforce. Let's see if we can just... Who needs Dark Link? Let's just get over here, see if we can steal the Triforce. Almost there! Almost there! No. Whoa! But then Dark Link does some wild stuff there. And... Don't worry, we're not gonna cheese the whole thing, just most of it. So, you might be familiar with these corner strats. Okay. So Dark Link's hitbox is kinda wonky. You have to get almost right inside to stab. And I actually saw, on a forum or something somewhere, where somebody said that their strategy against Dark Link, because you can get up here, if you cast the jump spell, and do the right kind of jump, you can get up here in the normal game without any codes or whatever. They said their strategy was to go up here and, like, fall and do that. Which does work. And the end part, if you're floating in the air, will not trigger until you land. So let's try that up here. There we go. And yes. Floating above the Triforce. Alright, and that's been Zelda 2. Thanks for watching. Thanks to Edge Case Collective for putting on Fuzzy Logic. Been really enjoying it, and there is one more segment left. Coming up at the top of the hour. So, thank you, and stay tuned.